Right here is the Lancia Ypsilon, and I want to ask you all, is this the best electric hatchback currently available? Well, let's take a look at it and I'll tell you all my first impression. Now, I'm going to be very honest, I did not know this car existed until I saw it with my own eyes. From certain angles, it looks visually like an Opel Corsa because it shares the same platform as the Opel Corsa and the Peugeot 208. But then as you look at it, you see some Lancia traits, some models that existed in the 2000s. For instance, they kept the door handle here. In that particular model, the door handle was also there. And then the idea of employing circular rear lights with this kind of design to it. But then obviously this sharp edge down here is a giveaway that this is indeed Peugeot related. Now, towards the front, we see something a bit interesting. You see the classic Lancia identity. Now, the fact that it has this T-shape is a reference to classic Lancia models, which brings me back to the 1980s and 70s when Lancia was beating everyone in the rally with the Lancia Beata. And now over to the interior, I looked at it. The first thing that comes to my mind is the Fiat Multipla. It has this Fiat Multipla vibe to it. I mean, look at it. It's so stylish, but then at the same time, you think to yourself, what? Now, speaking of the 1980s and the 1970s, there was a time Lancia had a big reputation in the rally community, and that too when it came to cars with speed and passion. They had some really interesting models out there. But then something happened in the 90s, or should I say 2000s. They began shifting towards the mass market. Their cars were known to be beautiful, stylish, but they just never had the reliability. Their quality was never good, their reliability was never good, the electronics was never good. By the late 2010s, they decided to discontinue operation in Europe. In fact, the only market they would continue selling the cars would be in Italy. But now I think things have changed. In fact, it still remains a bit of a mystery what's going to become of the Lancia brand, especially now that Stellantis has happened. But now the answer is right here next to me. A 36,000 euro electric car, which to me looks like the most beautiful I've ever seen. 36,000 euros, and it gets you a 360-degree parking camera with parking sensors at the front and at the rear. This is heaven for me. But wait, it's not all pink roses. Just like the Lancia hatchbacks of the 2000s, I did notice some problems. First thing I want to point out is this handle right here, this little latch. Apparently, you have to push from more inside, and then only it opens. Initially, I kept pulling it from above, like right here, because I thought that's where there would be a little button for me to pull open. So it's a very non-conventional system. It's very interesting. And then as you open the door, you're greeted with just so much plastic for the rear seats. What a big contradiction, especially when you look at the front. It's as busy as a city, everyone. Looking at the Lancia Ypsilon from this angle, it has me thinking of the Toyota Yaris for some reason. I mean, I just wonder if this part was necessary. I understand what they were trying, but like what's with the sharp edge right here? Now, just a little detour. These are the kind of colors you can choose for your Lancia Ypsilon. And right here are the choices of interior fabric. And now this particular fabric does remind me of the Fiat Multipla and Fiat cars of the 2000s. Now it's time to talk about the interior in detail. So, first impression is the door handle is a bit of a unique system. It's more like there's no handle. It's a pocket which I have to pull. I noticed something similar like that in the Skoda Fabia, to be honest, but it's not a big deal. Window buttons look visually like they're from another Stellantis car, like the Peugeot 208 or the Opel Corsa. Rest of the interior, the fact that it has those kind of air vents, they remind me of what I've seen in Peugeot or Opel or both. Like there's something about this interior that screams Opel, but then for the rest, it's mostly like Stellantis parts. So the transmission is visually Stellantis. Starts with a button, cup holders right here. The cup holders are of fixed sizes, which is good. On the bright side, you do get a central console storage with a little pocket that's adjustable. That's nice, decent. But the part that surprised me would be this big table right here with your wireless telephone recharge. That is so cute. And additional storage space underneath. That's great. And you get these piano-like buttons laid out right here. It's for your climate control. Very good. And there's this volume button directly for your infotainment system. Now, speaking of infotainment system, it is exactly what you'd expect of Stellantis. So it's similar to what I've seen in Peugeot, but it's more revised. It's better, and I'm impressed with it. But the part that gets interesting is the steering wheel. I just love the steering wheel. It's one of the best I've ever seen. Now, you can adjust it up, down, in and out, but this is the inmost setting for the steering wheel, so that can be questionable, but then you all be the judge. The seating adjustment is electric, surprisingly. Oh wow, and it's quite fast. That's great. I'm impressed. This is good. There's no glasses holder up here, and as a matter of fact, there's not much buttons up there, but it's mostly soft touch. So yeah, soft touch to activate the lightings. That's good. That's decent. I'm impressed. And then glove box, easy to reach from the driver's seat, I guess. It's a deep glove box, just like other Stellantis B-segment cars. Now, the door bin. The door bin gets interesting. You can fit a bottle in there, but it's not very deep. Now I would like to talk to you all about the infotainment system. So first I'll start with the map. You get an interesting looking map that's very similar to what I've seen in other Stellantis cars. So it's like mainly Peugeot. You get an idea of the relief, which is good, and a 3D diagram of the buildings at some areas, or not. No, actually not. You don't get that. But for this particular map, it's all black and white, or should I say gray and white. So, I mean, it is good. It tells you the built-up areas, but I get the feeling it's just perhaps one step behind the Volkswagen Group, which will give you additional detail. But for 36,000 euros, this map is epic. It gets the job done. And you get shortcut buttons right here, and and you even get climate control right here. Detailed climate control, just like what you'd see in a Peugeot. You even get heated seats. It's really nice. The climate control is very detailed. I like it. For standards of this price and segment, it's pretty good. I'm impressed. This is one of the best cars I've ever seen. And the instrument cluster is digital, but that's expected for today's generation. It's fine. It's good. Now, because this is just a demo car, it seems like I can't work around the instrument cluster much. But it's great. I mean, so far, I'm very impressed. My apologies, everyone. This particular Lancia Ypsilon costs 40,000 euros. But I was so overwhelmed by the design that I forgot to study the table properly. The quality of the front doors sounds quite nice with the metallic effect. There's this metallic effect to it, which is good. But that's not the same case for the rear doors. They sound a bit generic. Now it's time to check out the rear seats of the Lancia Ypsilon. Now, the thing I have to remark is already the knee room can be cramped depending on the seating adjustment of the front seat passenger and the driver. Leg room, same story, but then to be fair, it's expected. Headroom is good, surprisingly. And the headrest is a bit on the firm side, but then at the same time soft. It's good. I'm impressed. So far, but the seating, it feels like a sofa almost. It's on the cozy side. I'm impressed there. Backseat pocket, decent. And you get 2 charging ports over there, but that's it. There's nothing else that goes on. To be fair, I saw the same thing going on in the Opel Corsa. Now it's time to check out the boot space of the Lancia Ypsilon. So here you go, the handle. Now, when checking out the boot space, it's quite big for a B-segment car. It's actually bigger than what I've seen in other B-segment cars. Now you get a floor that's not entirely adjustable, but it's flexible, whatever it is, and there's 2 tether points on the side. Now, just on a side note, watch out for the boot lip. It sticks out very proudly. Otherwise, you get a nice ridge right here. You just have to lift luggages above to put it inside. Avoid touching the boot lip too much. All right, so here's my conclusion of the Lancia Ypsilon. For a price of 40,000 euros, this is one of the best electric B-segment car I've ever seen. The electric hatchback segment. It's very stylish, beautiful to look at. The option lists were there. It ticks many boxes, although I wasn't so sure about the rear seat because competitors like the Renault Clio electric would offer a bit more interesting things to liven up the rear doors maybe, but that doesn't matter. What matters is they really maintained the Lancia heritage, the Lancia history. I looked at it from certain angles and it reminded me of the good old 2000s, the real Lancias that were out there. I'm still shocked as to why Lancia left the market, but Lancia is getting back into business and I'm very much looking forward to it.